Enslaved: Odyssey to the West is an action-adventure platformer developed by Ninja Theory and published by Namco Bandai Games. The game took place 150 years after the devastation of an apocalyptic war. The human race is now a fraction of its former self, and every day is a struggle as those who have survived must contend with slavers, leftover active war machines, mines, heavy objects, and awkward animations. We start off with our main character trapped in a cell on a slave ship on its way to a pyramid. We don't really know where or what the pyramid is, but that's where we're going. Then some girl comes out of the cell across from ours, hits some buttons, and then everything starts to blow up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did he just punch the door off its hinges? He had the strength to do that this whole time, but instead decides to...
Position beneath your feet. And pyramid.
Huh. So the basic movement controls and the jumping and climbing mechanics feel mostly comfortable. They're not super smooth, but you get used to them. What I did notice pretty quick on was the game wouldn't let me kill myself. I wasn't able to jump off the edge and plummet to my death, which at first may seem like a really nice thing. But I found it a little disappointing because that instantly took away from the atmosphere. The scene is supposed to feel dramatic and tense, but it was all lost after I discovered there was no real danger. The next thing I didn't like was this mech jumping into the room and firing off bullets everywhere. Instantly the guards on either side of me were killed, but somehow everything magically misses me. Yes, if the main hero died now, then the story would be over. I understand that, but it would have been nice for there to be an actual reason why I didn't get shot. But then what happened shortly after changed my opinion. I scared a guy into helping me, and then the computer instantly fried his brain. So after forcing the guard to spill his beans, I got my gear and set off to fight the robot. And the combat was pretty straightforward. Weak attack, heavy attack, and combined for combos. One of the really awesome things I didn't notice till later on was how well the tutorial was placed into the game. Most of the time I didn't even notice it was teaching me things. One opponent, now he can block. Now here's two, and so on. Not once did it feel like I was being limited or babied like I feel in a lot of modern tutorials. So I fought through another room, ended up being locked up by that girl. But then again, if I was in her position, I wouldn't really have let myself in either.
You mother...
Another moment where I was a little let down was when I was, again, jumping around on the outside of the ship, and everything was a little exciting until I realized, hey, I can't fall off. So I get back to this area, and then I see an escape pod jettison from the hull. It pops out and instantly flies over my head. Then I rip a panel off the wall, and the wind tears it from my hands. I'm confused now on how I've managed to traverse this very windy and untraversable wing. Oh, and now I'll just roll down its... A few more things happen. I grab onto the last escape pod, which conveniently happens to be occupied by the girl from earlier, and then quickly come to the conclusion that I don't like her. And then I plummet towards the ground shortly after. This starts chapter 2, where we collect shiny things, fight some more mechs, avoid bombs, collect shiny things, make angry faces, fight a boss mech, collect more shiny things, and learn a few more mechanics.
Okay, got it. Go!
Some I enjoyed more than others.
Hey! Hey! Hey!
So how did we find this game to be? The sound effects always added to the scene. The soundtrack was also nice to listen to, and I even picked up a few of the songs to use in my own tabletop games. I found that all the sounds worked well together and helped immerse myself in the game, but there wasn't ever really a moment where I found myself stopping to admire the music. So I'll have to give sound a 4 out of 5. Of the 2 levels I played in so far, they both looked awesome. I have zero complaints about them. The overgrown city looked amazing everywhere I went, and I felt so many different areas could have easily made stunning screenshots. The models look pretty good, and nothing really feels out of place. There was no option but to give graphics a perfect score. So, nothing really looked terrible, but nothing looked amazing either. There were several awkward moments, and some that felt out of place. But all in all, I guess it wasn't game-breakingly bad, so we give animations a 3 out of 5. There is a lot of potential for story within the first 2 chapters. We find out a bit about the characters, a very brief description of their lives before being captured, and where they're going and why. And the game also leaves a lot of areas open for some great story. What caused this apocalyptic war? How have the mechs survived so long? Who are these slave traders? What's this pyramid we were being taken to, and what's its significance? It would have been nice to get a little bit more of a teaser of what's to come. There hasn't been anything yet that's made me think, oh, I have to keep playing this to figure out what's going to happen next. But there's been enough to keep me interested, so we give the story a 4 out of 5. The controls are easy to learn and understand. The mechanics are fun and make areas that appear simple turn out to be complicated. Combat does lack luster when engaging the normal units. It feels more like a chore than actually being interesting, but the boss fight was fun and engaging as it required us to pay attention to movements and listen for different variations of sounds so we could use them as cues to dodge correctly and take it out. I would have loved to give the gameplay a 5, but combat with the normal mechs is something we will be encountering a fair amount throughout the game, so I have to drop it down to a 4. So I came into this game with high expectations. I remember reading a whole bunch about it when it first came out, and I thought I was really going to love this game. Although it didn't quite live up to my expectations, it came pretty close. I still enjoyed it and plan to play more of it in the future. In the end, our scores average out to give it a 4 out of 5. So, should you Enslaved?
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.